President Trump ordered exercise military a large scale involving 150,000 personnel and hundreds of warplanes and ships war to ensure security on Indo-Pacific. According to the U.S. Ministry of Defense, the military exercise involved 150,000 personnel including Air Force and Navy. Not only that, military training also involved more than 400 warplanes and more than 100 warships, which would take place in South China Sea, and other places. No doubt, the competition and military friction between China and the United States in the South China Sea is real and serious, bearing in mind that they have competitive intentions, strict strategies, and daily operational confrontations. China is accused of suppressing U.S. allies and partners, militarizing disputed features, and seeking regional hegemony. Whereas the United States is seen as utilizing its influence in the South China Sea and holding back the rise of China as a maritime power. Question is, how intense is the competition? When every day is filled with news about maritime conflicts between China and the United States, many people may wonder, will China and the U.S. plunge into military conflict? In his writings at The Diplomat, Hu Bo, an expert and professor at Peking University, stated that both parties had reason to maintain and expand their military presence in the South China Sea. China is the largest coastal country in the South China Sea, and has interests at stake: territorial sovereignty, territorial waters, and lines of communication. With China's military modernization, it's natural that more and more military platforms are active in the area. Meanwhile, the United States highly regards maritime dominance, freedom of navigation, and security commitments to regional countries. Thus, the United States has maintained its most powerful military presence and carried out complex military operations in the South China Sea. A long time after world battle, because of China's weak naval and air force, there were not many opportunities for Chinese and American military forces to meet each other at sea. However, much has changed in the past decade. On the one hand, China's capacity is increasing rapidly, and the progress of the Navy and air is very impressive. On the other hand, the United States has increasingly worried about China's increasing strength and significantly strengthened its naval and air presence since 2009. U.S. reconnaissance aircraft increased 100% to around 1,500, and the presence of surface vessels increased 60% to around 1,000 ships a day per year. In this context, military-to-military meetings are often inevitable. No one feels comfortable with a changing situation. The U.S. military is accustomed to being unchallenged in the South China Sea and is not ready to accommodate China's maritime revival. Although the Chinese military is already very materially strong, they are still spiritually newbies and are still in the process of learning how to interact with their American counterparts as mature strengths. However, it seems that no one has many things apart from peaceful coexistence. If both parties develop normally, in terms of strength, the future of the South China Sea will become a bipolar region, regardless of the intentions they have. In addition, most countries in the region are reluctant to side with the China-US power competition. Therefore, it is difficult for both parties to rebuild the dominant order here. Distribution of power becomes more balanced. The idea of a managed military conflict becomes fantastic. One party's provocation will inevitably invite retaliation from the other party, where spiral escalation is possible. According to Hu Bo, given that both sides have so many weapons platforms and both are major nuclear forces, the possibility of a military solution is very small. The China-US conflict in the South China Sea of course continues to heat up, but the battle is still far away. There are several maritime meetings between the two parties every day, and thousands every year. Most of the meetings are professional and safe, few involve some risk. Recent pandemics have made both the country and its military more sensitive, which, to some extent, has increased the tension of the situation. Because virus, China and the United States are more concerned and anxious about each other. In addition to maintaining daily operations in the Western Pacific, both parties have some new concerns. The United States is worried that China will take advantage of the temporary power vacuum. Thus the country deliberately showed greater strength and gave China more diplomatic pressure. China feels that the U.S. South China Sea policy is increasingly hopeless, so that, even during the pandemic, the United States did not forget to provoke China. China also believes that the U.S., motivated by power competition, focuses on Chinese activities and ignores the actions of other claimants. Both parties remain largely professional and in control. In fact, neither the Chinese military nor the American military significantly increased their activities compared to the same period in 2019, despite the different impression given by most media reports and expert commentary. The problem is that this operation is too open and too focused. In the background of competing powers, especially in the midst of a pandemic, to show their strength and determination, U.S. forces have given undue advantages to covering and publicizing military activities, giving the media and the public much to discuss and imagine. Although most countries, including South China Sea claimants, do not want to see the China-U.S. military conflict, some countries do rejoice over heated competition between China and the United States, which could lead to several opportunities for them to develop. The China-U.S. military confrontation or even the battle in the South China Sea has a very large market. China and the United States, of course, prepare for all kinds of military conflicts and worst-case scenarios in the South China Sea. However, as Hu Bo emphasized in his writings, there was no indication the two sides wanted to resolve their contradictions by using force strategically or operationally, even though the rhetoric of the battle was repeatedly leveled by several senior American officials. In everyday military interactions, there are risks that really increase, but without the subjective desire for conflict, this risk is very likely to be controlled. The most important thing to prevent by the Chinese and American military is a miscalculation, given the relatively backward or ineffective crisis management mechanism of the two countries even compared to Soviet-US and then Russian-US military relations. In addition, we need to let professionals do their work. China-US military competition has been overly influenced by the media, commentators, and some politicians, which strengthens the intensity of competition and is likely to lead to predictions that will be fulfilled by themselves, Hu Bo said. Both the Chinese and U.S. military need to remain competitive and professional, keeping politics and public opinion under control. After all, if there is a battle, the frontline commander and sailors bear the greatest burden, others are just spectators.